So I just finished playing through Doki Doki Literature Club, and I think overall it's a very fantastic game. And I think as a horror game, it does its job exceptionally well. And I think it's disguised as a dating sim, a cutesy dating sim, as all the sites that you can download this game from advertise it as, or it's just general advertising. I think it was effective because it plays with your expectations, and although the game clearly says that there's some messed up stuff that will be happening in the game, the beginning of the game is so formulaic in the dating sim kind of thing that you lower your guard a little bit. I think you lower your guard so that you realize, oh, it's like, okay, maybe something bad happens, but it's pretty tame, right? And the game seems pretty tame, so you're not really expecting what ends up happening. So I think that's really effective in the way that nothing has really ever done this kind of thing before, at least anything that's been super popular as a visual novel. Nothing has really used a dating sim to manipulate its audience into a false sense of security, and then boom, horror. Like I don't think at least anything popular recently has done something like this. So I think it's really effective in the way that it was able to bring two genres together, which are not traditionally related, and they use them effectively to play on the theme of horror, which is, I think, the main purpose of the game is to terrify the players. So the point of this game is to terrify, and I think the backdrop of a dating sim is perfect. Now, there's also something that I realized playing through this game is that the game sometimes feels helpless. Like as the player, you have no control. This is significant if you think about it within the genre of visual novels itself, because even if it's not a dating sim visual novel, which a lot of visual novels are dating sims, but even the ones that are not dating sims, something like Danganronpa, which is a murder mystery visual novel, even those games, your control matters, and it helps direction the game into the path you want to go. Of course, there might not be happy endings, and you might mess up, but you can still kind of change the story and make it so that you can get a good ending. If you mess up, get a shit ending, then you can always reload and you can start over. So that's especially as me, as a person who plays a lot of visual novels, it's a way that I feel comfort, because I can just play through it without any consequences, because knowing if I mess up, just reload, easy. And then I can get right back to where I want to be. So with that mindset in mind, it's really effective that the game takes away your agency and basically says, no, you can't control the outcome of the game. Perhaps most strikingly is when I played through the game, I played through, I was trying to get through Yuri's route the first time, but what ended up happening was you find out that Sayuri, your best friend, has major depression, and so she's going through a lot of shit, and she's depressed all the time, and she can't find the strength to get out of bed, and she's in love with you, deeply in love with you, and a part of her likes the fact that you have friends and you're hanging out with people, but a part of her hates the fact that you can't hang out with her as much because she's in love with you. And so you're forced to make a decision around whether you want to friend zone her at her lowest point, or if you will accept her confession. Now, the important part, the reason why I'm saying all of this is because this gives you the illusion that you have choice. Everything you've done up till now, even if you didn't pick her route, you could save. And even before the final option of whether you accept her confession or not, you can save. So it gives you a sense of security. But then what you realize is that it doesn't matter, because even if you make the right choices, you will always end up with Sayuri committing suicide. It doesn't matter, she will hang herself. And as I've noticed, if you play through it and you see her commit suicide, her character file gets deleted. So all the saves that before, you can't go back. You would have to uninstall the entire game. You can't go back. So the where I think the majority of the horror comes from is the fact that your agency is so limited and you can't do anything about what's happening on screen. Same with Yuri's death. She's so in love with you, so obsessed with you, that she hurts herself and basically also commits suicide. And it doesn't matter if you accept her confession or not, because either way, she'll still end up stabbing herself to death. So the important thing that I think this game does really well is twofold. I think it manages expectations in a way that it can use as ammunition to horrify the player. So the first thing we talked about, the way that it disguises itself as a cutesy, oh, it's a nothing major game, when in reality, it has a lot of dark themes and it will be very terrifying later on in the game. But the game does well to manage your expectations so that it becomes more of a shock later. And second, your agency is gone, because no matter what you do, it will always end up in the same place. No matter how hard you try, the game will progress. It doesn't matter what options you choose, because Sayuri and Yuri are both gonna die. It doesn't matter how you play the game. And that, I think, is probably the most terrifying thing about this game, is that you can't influence the outcome of the game.